CWL Anaheim Open Championship Sunday underway. We've already had one winner's bracket semifinal, and up next, it's time for the next one. LG EG. We talked briefly earlier on in the day about EG. Have they reached their ceiling? Team, can they shut down this this LG squad?
I really don't think so. I was very, very wrong in that first series, though. I really thought Flight was going to come through and take that one, so I guess take what I say with a grain of salt. But overall, I think LG is a different beast. The slaying power is way too consistent, and you don't see one of these players. Saints used to be that sort of weak link for these guys, but the past, what, 2-3 months, he hasn't been that at all. They've been so well-rounded, and I think they're going to take it fairly easily.
Fair enough. And of course, here's a look at our map set for the series. It's going to be a breakout Hardpoint, Crusher, Search and Destroy, a throwback Uplink. If it goes to a Game 4, it'll be a Scorch Hardpoint, and a Game 5 throwback Search and Destroy. Merc, what are your first impressions when you see this map set?
I think it's going to be very tough for Evil Geniuses. Just looking at that map, number 1 and number 2, I know Luminosity, they've done very well on breakout and Crusher, and then throwback Uplink. Just the speed of Luminosity is going to be very difficult to deal with. But if they can get it towards that back end, that Scorch Hardpoint, Evil Geniuses, stage 1, that's where they really shine. So if they're able to get it to games 4 or 5, they have potential to win this series, but it's going to be very tough to hit those first 3 maps.
I think the best thing you can do if you're EG is try to slow this Luminosity squad down. Although I said that, I still think it's going to be a 3-0 for LG, but your best bet is try to play your pace and get them to play your pace. If you start playing that fast trade game with LG, you're looking at a blowout.
Obviously, we talked a lot about Octane from LG and just how phenomenal he's been. He really has been the kind of standout player, the superstar from that squad. If you're on EG, who are you expecting to kind of step up and take on that fight?
Guy. I think you put up a decent fight, but I think if there's any chance EG can really take this series, you guys said it perfectly. It has to get to that last Search and Destroy. They definitely can take a Scorch, but I just don't think if they play that fast trade game, I don't know who's going to be that guy on EG. I guess it has to be Havoc. He's had some lackluster respawns, to say the least. If he steps up, if we finally see a dominant series from him, that's the only way I think this series is close.
Yeah, I think it's just going to be so difficult. I mean, look, Optic Gaming, one of the best teams in the world, they try to sort of slay on with Luminosity. And we saw last night, it's just so difficult to do. They're able to punish you if they get out-rotated. Doesn't matter. They have confidence in themselves to win that next gunfight. It's just going to be so hard. If you're Evil Geniuses, you have to win those Search and Destroys and try to steal a respawn.
Well, without further ado, I believe the game is about to get underway on the main stage. As we said, Evil Geniuses versus LG winners bracket semifinal. Maven, Matt, over to you.
Thank you, gentlemen. I think that I agree with most of the points that were made on the desk. Only thing I think I disagree with, if there's someone that's going to keep up in the slaying, it's got to be Nameless. He's led the way so far in respawns. He has got to be a beast here to have a chance.
I agree with you on that, but I think the biggest X factors in this series, at least for me, is Havoc on the side of Evil Geniuses and Saints on the side of Luminosity.
Saints has been good.
Saints has been very, very good for LG. Again, he was the difference maker for them at the playoffs, right? This is a team where, like, if they can get all 4 guys cooking at one time, maybe they make a run. You're getting a great game out of Saints. On the other side of EG, Havoc, he's been phenomenal in S&D, but in respawns, he has struggled. You cannot afford games from him like this in this series.
And I do think the S&Ds are going to be the key. I was talking to Octane outside, and it was just like, what changed? Because, we used to laugh at the fact that you drop from a 1-2 to and respawn to a 0.8 in Search and Destroy. He's like, honestly, I'm running camo now. I stopped worrying about getting information so much from my teammates and maybe always making the start play and just worrying about getting kills, kind of winning those gunfights, which has always been the key to their success. And you see him skyrocket. I think he's sitting at 2nd overall S&D KD. He's basically doubled it from previous events over this past month. He's been unreal.
Yeah, stupid as it sounds, it's like when you're an S&D team that's struggling, probably like Luminosity was, it's like, oh man, they're so worried about the strategy. Everybody's kind of so in their own heads, like, oh, well, what do we do? Am I making the right play? Am I focusing on the right thing? Am I helping my teammates? Oh, I gotta help this guy get a kill. I gotta do this. And then you try and do so much that nobody's really doing much of anything. So I think now Luminosity, they just kind of pull back and Search and Destroy. It's like, okay, let's just fly at a site, let's try and kill them, and it's working out.
But focusing back to this Game 1 Hardpoint, the guys were talking about how the start to this is scary for Evil Geniuses, and the stats kind of back that up in the sense that we're taking a look at the stats for Breakout Hardpoint. Evil Geniuses hasn't played it yet this weekend, which is the scary thing. I mean, they haven't been on this map at all. We have a big map set between all these different modes, but you haven't had a chance to look at it. Now you're going against arguably the top team in respawns and Hardpoint. They beat Optic in both Hardpoints yesterday.
I will say, EG, a very strong S&D team. If they can figure out a way to take either the Game 1 or the Game 3, somehow force a Game 5 in this series and win, obviously, Game 2, they have a very good shot to pull an upset.
Well, it's scary though when you look at throwback Uplink. 0 wins for EG, 100% win ratio for Luminosity. So that is going to be terrifying, but let's kick it into the next gear for our game one. LG, EG, our second winner semis. Who's going to guarantee themselves a spot in the top 3 will be this man leading the way from Luminosity.
And if you're LG, you have to kind of look at the way the bracket is folding out for you right now and say, this is our tournament. We come in, we beat EG, we go up against Epsilon, who we've already beaten. You know, in the Pro League, the regular group stages, we have a great shot going to that grand final.
Yeah, and like I feel like some people seem to be shocked maybe by EG's results or Epsilon's results, but like we know these are teams that can do it. EG was finishing top 8 at basically every major LAN, and they upgrade here with Parasite. Epsilon, we know after Birmingham and how they've improved, they were the #2 team it looked like from EU. They just got a tough draw in stage 1. Now they're showing what they're really capable of with that win over Splice. Can EG keep it going is the question at an event where, yeah, there's been some surprises. Envy out early, FaZe out early, but teams that we've seen start to fall apart over the past couple months, it seems like it finally caught up to them.
Yeah, I mean, EG really hasn't surprised me that much in the sense that you knew Parasite was going to come in, play well, always a very consistent player in terms of the kills he's able to put up. You kind of put him on the team, you move Study out, and I think you definitely get a much more rock-solid EG lineup.
And it's not that Parasite's been that flashy. He's sitting right at basically a 1.0 KD, but that's what you need. Study was really kind of holding you back in the respawn game modes. He was what, bottom 10 throughout stage 1, just not really doing that slaying. Parasite at least breaking it even.
I mean, the game's almost become like, you have guys who can go off games when they have those bad games. Just don't have a bad enough game that it will hurt you, that'll kill the team, that you can't really kind of come back from. I know we've seen some really poor games out of some players this weekend, and the rest of our team's still playing well, but you're just not able to overcome such a poor effort.
Well, it's a nice cell block hold there for Evil Geniuses. I believe Nagafin goes big. He's started out 5-3. He's got a 3 streak to work with, but it's Luminosity that gets the rotation early here in Grave. We'll see if Octane can hold on here. On the opposite side, can Nagafin keep those streaks going and maybe work towards some of those score streaks? First shot's in. That's Octane gunning Nameless. Doesn't even have a chance. Nice grenade in the backside. Havoc obliterated as well. 3rd and 4th players now beginning to push up. This is just not a man you want to be in a one-on-one gunfight. Nameless gets first shot. Does not matter.
We're watching him on the desk the other day, and we were just kind of looking at each other like, when does this guy miss? Like, usually you see other assault rifle players, we go on with their screen, right? It takes a little bit to, like, locate a guy. Maybe the first bullet or 2 don't connect. Like, he never seems to miss like that. It's crazy. It reminds me of actually Proofy from Black Ops 2. I mean, so good with the M8, like, in his hands. Like, I mean, just never misses these shots at range.
Well, he's still going right now. 8-4, 2.0 KD, 5th kill right in front. He's tagged up and able to finish it. He's just 225 off the Trinity. You see he's got a kind of a greedy stack right now with the score streaks. No Scarab. He'll have Trinity, Scorchers, and Bombardment to work with. Is he going to be able to pick those up? A weak player in window. He finally gets chopped down. Nice shots from Havoc.
Like, see, even right there, Havoc takes him out, but Octane just gets him weak. Like, I mean, just so many other players wouldn't even be able to react and locate that player in the window that fast.
Well, this is a game that has a quicker time to kill than some previous Call of Duty installments, and that's when it becomes so impressive. When you're a player that can actually win a gunfight after taking the first shot, it's pretty rare to have the ability to do that. One of those rare that can. Now watching Slack POV, you see the hardpoint currently controlled by EG. The collapse is coming. Classic finds the first. Slacked around the backside, trying to get the final person out of the hardpoint. The challenge should come in momentarily, using cover best he can. Octane there to clean it up.
And here's what I'm starting to think that Luminosity does better than almost any other team, Mavis. Whenever you see them, they don't get a hill at the beginning. They're just so good at breaking it because they have 4 guys who can just come in. Any 4 of them could just come in, pop a 2-piece, pop a 3-piece, able to break it with ease. And I mean, in the series that we were watching yesterday with Optic, I mean, they would let Optic rotate to the hill, and they're like, all right, that's fine. Like, we'll just outgun you. We'll just fly right at you. We'll win these fights, and we'll get it right back.
Well, that was tough. Karma last night, he's one of the best at being in a good position, but yeah, he was having trouble, I think, winning some of the one-on-one gunfights against this four-man push from Luminosity. They're so talented, and you're seeing it here yet again. Slack now in cruise control, 8-6 on a 3 streak, trying to work towards Trinity Rockets. You saw Octane fall a little bit short last time. Maybe Slack can pick them up, but the lead starting to extend. Off the map he goes.
And they're so good with all the weapons as well. I mean, you're going to see Octane, for the most part, just stick with the NV4, but I mean, Classic, very good with the NV4. Same with Slacked. You know, Saints in the past, we've seen him run, you know, ARs, SMGs. It doesn't really matter for these guys. So no map kind of phases them. No angle phases these guys. I mean, they pick up an MV4. They're just as good as when they had the K-Bar in their hands. They're just such a tough team to play against, and especially a game mode like Hardpoint.
Well, right now, trailing big time is EG, but we know how this map can favor big swings. You can rotate, get 3 solid holds in a row, but you got to keep it at least in striking distance. The lead just continues to grow here. We're on with Saints POV. You saw on X-Ray there was one hitting the outer wall run. He should know he's wrapping to the front. He's set up inside. It's been contested on the front side. Saints and Crew is trying to hold. This is where EG picked up most of their time, really, through the first set of rotations. They got a solid 40 or so points. They haven't touched much since.
Yeah, it looks like LG is going to be in complete control of this hill. Classic pulls out an NV4 to give them more support in the back. You see Saints here inside of the hill. Pulls out an NV4 of his own as players coming over the wall run, but he doesn't need to challenge this right away. He has teammates that can come through the sides, or they can just pick these players off. You see Saints now starting to get score streaks. He's going to earn himself the Trinity Rockets.
He's got 6 in a row, gets the 7th, 12 and 8. He's got all streaks, 8 now cut down. Cell block being crushed by Saints here. And look at it, it's Octane already set up to hold off Cave at the next hard point. This is where they did a lot of damage the first side through, but we got to stick with Saints. He keeps on going. The streak continues to build. He's got Parasite and one more in the back. The snap is on. His shot looks disgusting. And when this guy's playing, like, we know how sometimes he gets a lot better at the end of titles. Some of his, you know, what was it? It was the late tournament Ghost that he was able to win when he was putting up one of the most consistent KDs throughout. What makes Saints such a special player, and why do you think he's gotten back to this?
He's just a slayer. Like, that's really what it is. I mean, you need a guy who can pick up kills. Saints is definitely one of the best at that. I mean, it's been like kind of S&D in the past where you've kind of been worried about, you know, Saints a little bit. But, you know, in respawn game modes, this guy, when he starts to feel it, man, I mean, just so aggressive, just plays at such a fast pace, and he's so accurate. He's scary. And when you add him to this Luminosity roster, and they make the move in the offseason, right, to bring Saints in. They had Looney on the team all last year. This is the team that they thought they were going to get right away. It just didn't form instantly.
Well, then what happens now? You know that LG was involved in sort of trade rumors. You saw one of the, I think it was Rustini, was talking about Gunless wanting to go to LG, and that's the trade that he wanted. Nothing ends up happening. If you're LG and you win this event and you're smoking everybody, does those rumors go out the window?
Who the hell wouldn't want to go to LG?
Yeah.
If you're not on this team and you're going up against them, the way they're just able to just kill, who would not want to be on this team? It's 250 to 82 in favor of Luminosity, game number 1. But man, they are looking, they're finally starting to click, and we're getting in that time of the year. This is when you want to start to be playing great.
And what do you think the mentality is like for Evil Geniuses, in the sense that you haven't played Breakout yet? You kind of expect to lose that. What is it like going into this series? You just like, kind of, guys, we might not take this one. Just look forward to the surge.
Yeah, I mean, you're a new team. You're built for the long haul, right? I mean, they pick up Parasite, and how long have they had to really scrim with them? 2 weeks? No, 3 weeks, maybe at most. And I mean, you're not playing like every single day, every hour, every day. So, you come into this series, you played phenomenal so far throughout the tournament. You dropped that game 1, you probably didn't expect to win it. Game 2 is where you can kind of make this a series.
Yeah, the Crusher is where it has to happen. And Havoc, you know, we talked about the fact he comes from Search and Destroy. He's starting to finally feel like he can be that hard carry. I mean, you think back to Champs last year, even though they didn't have the best result for his team, he was dominant in Search and Destroy, and he hasn't really been that player this year up to this point.
No, but it's good to see him kind of get back to that and to talk about, you know, some of his respawn struggles. You know, he is the guy on this team that's going to play at a very fast pace. I mean, you look at, you know, Parasite, he is not going to play at a fast pace, usually kind of being further back. You know, Nagafen, you know, he kind of, not really one that's going to kind of push the agenda on the opponent. It's really Havoc's job to do that on that team, so that's why you see sometimes he doesn't put up the best numbers.
And we're looking at Slacked. He's got a 1.1 overall KD, a ton of hardpoint time to go with it. You see the number of first bloods he has to his name as well. Slacked, I feel like he's been overshadowed in the sense that Octane has just erupted lately. Saints has been so good, but he's kind of been Mr. Consistent throughout the year.
I mean, sometimes it takes one player to step back for the other players to step up and the team to go forward. So it's almost like basketball, right? Like somebody gives more shots to another teammate, and it's like, well, I can figure out how to get mine another way, right? I mean, you give Saints all those kills, you give them some better positions. Slack's like, okay, I'll figure my own game out.
And look at that, Grave, you saw them dominating throughout, 105-6. Really the only hard point that Evil Geniuses fought them on was cell block, and that was through the first side of rotations when they got half of their points, really. Slack, I mean, it's kind of insane. They beat them 250-82, and Slack only has 13 kills. Like, it was just such a fast game.
I mean, you have 2 hard points where you're in single digits for EG.
That's
2
good.
kills individually, not ideal. I think the graphic actually said Nagaven led the team with 13 kills. So not ideal game 1 for EG, but it's one that I don't want to say really kind of expected that lopsided of an outcome.
Yes.
Not that lopsided.
Yeah,
I didn't.
That's true.
You did.
Yeah, I mean, I thought they were going to blow out game 1. I don't know that I would have said they were going to get 100-point club, but after seeing how good LG looked against Optic last night, one of the better hardpoint teams, it was tough for me to argue to myself that EG was going to give them much of a fight in that particular game mode. That's why I agree with you. It has to be done in 2, 3, and 5. Absolutely. I know that's when it's a very good respawn team, that's usually your answer to success.
Yeah, I mean, if you're EG coming into this series, you know your strength against Luminosity is not going to be your respawn gameplay. You know you got to get it done in the search and destroys. It's just how do you get a respawn win to force that game 5? Like I was saying earlier, if they can somehow force a game 5, this series is anybody's. I think you may even favor EG there in that game 5.
Yeah, if it goes to that, they've yet to win a throwback search and destroy. 50% win rate for Luminosity. But yeah, again, sometimes stats, man, they go out the window when you get to a game 5. It's who's going to come up clutch, and that's where I think maybe somebody like a Parasite really becomes useful. You saw his 1v1 last night.
Yeah, we've seen EG do some odd things on throwback search and destroy. So just racking my own brain, I remember Nagaven kind of like to hit that wall run. He can go over the top and look over that underpass area and see a lot of the vision in the middle of the map. So maybe Luminosity could stop some of their aggressive pushes if we do go to that game 5.
Yeah, if we get there is the question, but they're going to have to get through this game 2. This is absolutely must-win territory already for Evil Geniuses. You have to win this game 2, or you're likely looking at a 3-0 for LG. First up on offense is going to be Luminosity. We're going to kick things up with Classic, and one thing to note, if you haven't noticed at home already, Classic typically your camo player through all modes. He will be running it in respawn, but Octane is taking over those duties in search and destroy.
And it'll be LG on the offensive attack going in here towards A. See a lot of teams push over towards B. Seems to be the preferred bomb site, but you have so many players who are so good at close range with the submachine guns in hand, and the defense is going to pretty much give this site up. You may as well take it. Yeah,
and it feels like it's just the past couple of events where people have started to really realize how dominant the ERAD is. Okay, so Nagafen does find it's going to be 3v2 advantage, so they hold advantage in this first round, but Classic does still have bomb in hand and Saints to work with. They're going to have to come from behind in this first round if they want to get it done. Peeking in through you, haven't been able to spot anything yet. You see on the minimap, everybody has pushed back through spawn and 4 Evil Geniuses. That number 7 is Nagafen peeking mid-map. I think he just got a little bit unlucky of an angle. He did not get vision on Classic.
Yeah, both teams here are just playing this quite oddly because obviously they don't really have any information to where the other are. They probably just think that they're circling. EG probably thinks they're actually chasing LG at this moment in time, but finally about to find each other. It'll be a quick round in favor of Evil Geniuses. What I like there at the end, not much, just kind of wandering around a little bit, but they were staying together, so no chance of potentially splitting up, getting peace.
Well, I was about to say, the only opportunity that LG really had is if the gunfight came before they were trying to plant the bomb, because then at least you have a 2v3, not really a 1v3. The timing ends up being the worst possible scenario for LG, and they both get cut down immediately. So Evil Geniuses, after a very poor performance in the game 1, are at least able to rebound, get the first round on the board. Can they get a little momentum going in their favor? And this is the high wall runs you talk about with Nagafen. He's so good at snapping on players, getting those 4 shots in with the NV4. Not able to get the angle yet.
Yeah, he's very crafty with the wall runs and also, using different weapons. Goes right over the top of one player, trying to locate this player underneath. So he may have gotten even tagged up by a teammate here who's trying to take this player out as well. Somehow, this is a very odd round. They're just going to run away from these fights. And look, they've left Havoc all alone here with the bomb.
Can't lose bomb here. Got to get away from this if you can. He's getting pushed. He's get a little bit of help here. He knows he's tagged him up. Havoc able to take it close range. Not a spot you want to lose the bomb, though. It's down at L. Thankfully, Nagafen there with his 4th kill. He started out 4-0. He's got an E-Rad now in his back pocket. He's also got the bomb to work with, trying to hunt down this final one. Goes vertical over him, has lost him for a second. These have been some of the most awkward gunfights here at mid-map. Finally, he's able to win it. FTL's around, tries to snap, not able to do it in the 1 versus 1. And LG comes out on top. I think there were like 4 different scenarios where it was just somebody trying to find someone soaring above them off the wall run.
Yeah, usually I try and find something something to say about every round that you can make some kind of sense out of it. That one there really isn't much to say. It was like everybody was like in one like little corner around that pillar, and then EG like ran away, and then they ran back, and just a very odd round of S&D.
That's so surprised that Havoc was still sticking around for the gunfight, because it looked like they were going to wrap it out.
His teammates just left.
Yeah, just go get the bomb planted. But Nografin has had a masterful performance thus far. He does have a sniper in hand in round 3. The early start got him that FTL so quickly that he almost was able to clutch it up. Octane spots one and gets a bullet in before the player wisely backs down. A second is going to peek him. And that's what's difficult about challenging Octane. It seems like he gets a bullet in so quickly, but the kill's going back and forth. Nografin pushed now with the sniper. It's Parasite trying to put this in. 202 versus 2, but suddenly he's actually all by himself. Can he clutch up? Tags one. Erad over the top. He is down. And that's back-to-back rounds for the monsters that are Luminosity.
Yeah, and you're in a very difficult spot when you have Nografin with the sniper rifle in hand and the bomb goes over towards A, because you don't have the luxury of like in past titles Overkill, where you have a submachine gun or an assault rifle as your secondary weapon. This time you only have that EMC pistol, although it's pretty good.
Yeah.
But you're running in there against what, Erads and K-bars, you're just gonna get mowed down.
Well, all I've ever seen, sometimes I think Clay doing it a couple times, you kind of peek Skybridge down to sight, and sometimes you can get a pick, but it was Octane watching that. I
think we saw Clay do that once.
Yeah, I could think of one time from him, maybe Nografin, but yeah, it's not an easy spot. You definitely want to be working on the B site in that position, but here we are into round 4. Parasite tagged up and trying to get away, but Kazakh Slack flying forward, all of a sudden one left. And that is where LG will shine in S&D. Just a 4-on-4 bloodbath. They're going to win those.
Well, they tried to bait a little bit there where Havoc was laying down in that underpass, and they send, I think it's either Parasite or Nameless. He goes out, he gets tagged up, he runs back. They're trying to just bait one player to like chase that kill, and they do chase the kill. The only bad part for EG is that LG just wins all the fights.
Well, that's what you've seen. You've seen LG knock for it. You've seen a team like Optic that has really good gun skill knock for it. When you have that skill, just go, man. Take the attack to the other team. When you start to get hesitant, when you play a little slower, is it when it seems like these rounds punish Luminosity? But that's going to be 3 in a row. They're looking fantastic. But looks to be a quick flank here.
But isn't that one of the first things you learn, like playing competitive FPS? Like, just don't chase kills. Like, you get a player weak, just don't chase if you know there's going to be a teammate there. I feel like that's something that a lot of these players should know right now. It's going to be a 2v4 in favor of EG. Classic picks up 2, makes it a little bit interesting, but it'll be EG cleaning up the kills. They'll win another round.
Well, this is one of those games where you kind of wish Classic still had Camo, because he's got 8 kills to work with right now. It would be an early one for him. But it'll be Octane with it in this matchup. EG, though, bounces back. That's a big win, because you had 3 in a row for Luminosity. Things starting to get out of control. You get the play call from the EG side to hit a quick flank. They catch Luminosity completely off guard. And it snowballs in their favor, Matt.
See what EG does here on offense. Looks like they're going to go in and try and challenge LG over by the A-bomb side. See, Nameless pre-firing this you expect maybe one player to come from that angle once you start to show pressure over by A.
And somebody needs to step it up and help Nografin a little bit. He's 8-3, but everybody else struggling. Your respawn player, Nameless, having a rough one. Havoc, your S&D specialist, also struggling. But now back to Nografin, who's been the hot hand, trying to push, but Octane able to cut him down. 2 versus 2. Parasite and Havoc going to get up against Octane and Slack. He's getting chased, can't get away. LG shut the door on another round for EG.
You just see Octane with the NV4 inside of A. Like, just does not care. He's just going to challenge regardless. He goes right up over the top. But win a fight against Parasite, and that's what makes him so good with that weapon, that he wins these engagements at close range with it.
He's one of the few people we see consistently somehow gun an Erad at close range. And that's really just, I think, his positioning, the fact that he's just so good at getting that first shot off. He has faster reactions than a lot of people in the game. You get that first bullet in, that's your only chance at winning it.
Just don't miss.
Yeah, just don't miss it. That's an easy recipe for success, right? Just stop missing, you'll be fine. You see a snipe come through, but kills are traded back and forth. Over to Saints POV, as Luminosity will have bomb as they try to move forward. Nografin wants to peek this. Will he be able to get an angle to snap just a little bit off? They know he's at this back rock. They're going to fly at him. Why wouldn't you? He's not ready for it. He actually does get a shot off to turn this into a 2 versus 2. Classic, though, with another kill. Parasite, he's had a 1v3 clutch last night. A 1v1 clutch against Enigma 6. Is this where he can pull off a 1v2? You got to win this. You can't allow LG to get a 5th round.
Yeah, 5-2 would be very difficult for EG to come back from. Parasite making his way over towards the site, wins one gunfight, not able to get behind cover. He was trying to like kind of dip behind there, maybe get back out towards bomb, just too deep in.
Yeah.
LG wins the round.
His only chance was maybe sliding the up. Now, there's nothing he could have done.
He was trying to slide back towards the bomb.
Yeah, if he was a couple feet back, maybe. But still, he's in a tough spot. That's good by LG. You know, buddy system there. You're able to trade it out effectively. Now 5-2 advantage and looking to secure a 2-0 lead in this series. And if LG, man, they keep winning searches like this, I'll tell you what, we're going to be crowning this team champion here eventually.
Eventually, maybe in a few hours.
Yeah.
Playing like this.
Very well could be. Classic has put down his Centurion. Nagathon, though, is able to find the first blood. So you've got advantage now, 2 Evil Geniuses. And you see they got complete control right now of that A bomb site. And this is going to be real tough to retake down a man.
They're going to use the Scarab. Try and get somebody weak here before they push in. Maybe they can give themselves an advantage. So you see the shots go into Parasite. He gets hit with the Scarab. It's a nice play there from LG to even the man count of 3 apiece.
And they make it look easy, right? That man advantage just disappears. Nameless, though, has answered. He has 1 high, 1 low to deal with. Saints and Crew flying in. It's all of a sudden a 2v1. How has this happened? It's Havoc by himself. He does have bomb planted with 20 seconds remaining. Time is on his side, playing it slow. They line up for him, gets him weak. He should be down in just a moment. Somehow he's still up, finally cut down. That'll be the final round, and that's got to be a painful one, man. You get the first blood with Nagathon on EG, and then Luminosity make that retake look so easy behind the Scarab.
Yeah, Havoc was actually playing there and he didn't know if the guys on LG had spotted him or not, and as soon as he peeked out for the second time, he saw both players looking at him, was forced to challenge. See Saints here in the final kill cam. LG. We were wondering yesterday, I know I'm up here with you, I believe, and we're talking through all these teams. You know, who looks the strongest? Everyone looked like they had a little bit of a weakness. No, from last night's match against Optic into this match against EG today, LG looks like the clear favorites at this time.
Well, for me, I mean, yesterday before the Optic LG match, I think I was mostly thinking the top 2 teams for me were Splice and Optic, because LG had dropped to Epsilon. I know Epsilon's a phenomenal team. We just saw that with Splice, but I still, you know, Luminosity a little bit vulnerable. I wasn't guaranteeing them maybe to be that high of a finish, but then the series happens last night. That flips that on its head very quickly. And God, you know, if Epsilon has beaten if Epsilon has beaten Luminosity, God, what is the limit for this LG and Epsilon team as they continue to push here in the winner's bracket? But as it stands in our second winner semi, Luminosity up 2-0. Can they close it out in the Game 3 uplink? We'll find out after this quick break. Before we hop into our Game 3, let's quickly take a look at our G Fuel key player matchup. Matt, it's going to be Slack up against Nagafen.
You see Nagafen, he's been very strong in Uplink, the 1.07 KD, 8 total points to his name. He's been a reason for EG's minor successes in the game mode. You see Slack on the other side of things. The 1.02 KD, you're like, oh, hey, you know, Slack usually plays a little bit better than that. But he's taken a different role with this team this weekend, letting Saints do a lot more in the slaying department. Slack handling the OBJ.
And that'll do it. Slack versus Nagafen. It's your G Fuel key player matchup.
Rich here on the floor, and the lower bracket has been absolutely crazy all day long. We already have upsets coming through left and right. E-United was sent home with their new roster by Cloud9, so Cloud9 is playing up against Red Reserve right now. Red Reserve was looking really strong. I'm in the middle of an Optic match right now. People are going absolutely crazy. You can see them coming across right now. But Red Reserve was leading against Cloud9 by 130 points, but Cloud9 was able to ultimately win that match, so they are leading 1-0. But Optic is playing up against E6. They were able to take out Rise easily. E6 putting up a pretty strong fight. They were able to take the first map, but as you can see, Optic fans are out here in full force, cheering them on, helping them out here today. But I'm going to throw it back up to Matt and Maven to jump back into the action on main stage.
I think it's safe to say that Optic probably won the Search and Destroy. At least there were a lot of smiles on the fans behind him.
Yeah.
You saw really the full Optic roster just kind of walked in front of Rich there.
Yeah, when I saw an update for the Search and Destroy, it was 2-2 rounds. I believe Scump had a bombardment in round 5.
That's scary.
I heard they won that round, so 3-2. So with the way they were kind of looking right there, looks to even that series up at 1 game apiece.
Well, now we're going to be going for throwback uplink here. EG going up against Luminosity, and this is scary. When you look at this map in mode, 100% win rate coming in for Luminosity, 0% for EG. The map set looks scary to kick things off. Their only recipe for a win was going to be going to a game 5. Now that's their only option is they're down 2-0. And I think it ends here. LG has been too strong, too good all weekend long. I don't know how EG can pull this out.
Yeah, I mean, Luminosity, an extremely difficult team to go up against, let alone reverse sweep. And that's what EG would have to do to find themselves in the winners finals at this moment in time. But we have seen EG with their backs against the wall in the past. That is when they have played their best.
Well, it's been interesting. It's been a couple different stories. Like, you see Epsilon, same story last year kind of for that team. They start a little bit slow early in the year, and they go ahead and dominate towards the end of the year. Luminosity, I feel like they're the reverse. Remember they were Rise Nation last year? They started Ed Looney, but they started out really, really well early in the year, and then kind of tapered off at the end. It's the reverse now. They've gone from slow to just ramping it up at the exact right time.
Well, I wouldn't really say they were slow at the beginning of the year, but they weren't like the juggernaut we thought they would be.
Yes.
Like I remember going into Vegas and we're doing all predictions and stuff, and you're just looking at rosters top to bottom because the game's so new.
Well, we were picking them to be in finals, and they weren't.
Without a doubt, yes. Yeah, we were picking them, expecting them to be in your grand finals, against Optic Gaming, see those heavyweights go back and forth. We just never got it.
Well, now we have certainly.
Now we get it in round 1.
Yeah, what a crazy series that was last night. But now EG have to find their first win on throwback uplink if they're going to extend this series. They need Havoc. He's been a liability in respawns up to this point. He has to pick it up. And on the other side, you pick anybody you want on this Luminosity roster. They've been brilliant this weekend.
Yeah, they've. I mean, Infinite Warfare is a game even at the competitive level right now. You just need people who can pick up those kills. You can kind of work around, some of the strategy, right? Maybe you don't have to rotate as early. Maybe you don't have to play at certain angles. Slaying solves all those problems.
Well, think of some of these stats for each player. Slack, he has a 1.1 overall KD, which places him in that top 10. Classic, 4 points in uplink per game, which is number 3 of all players at Anaheim. Saints, 1.19 in hardpoint KD, which places him around the top 10. Octane, a 1.46 S&D KD, which is number 4 overall at Anaheim. It's like, if you look at any player on here, they have a standout stat in some category. It's unreal.
Their job as a team, if I was working with Luminosity, it's say, hey, let's limit mistakes. But when we make mistakes, it's fine. Let's not freak out. Let's just outslay. Like, because that's what they're the best at. Yep. I mean, when they get out of position, you have this happen, right? No mid-map, completely open. And Saints kind of, doesn't really know which way to look. He falls. Slack comes in, picks up 3 kills. Everything's fine.
Saints 4-1 on a 3 streak. Like I said, he has the lower ground in these fights, still winning them somehow. The streak will end at 4, but Octane there to trade it out. Now drone in hand. He's got cover from the side. It's Saints looking over him. 1-point toss. Up, away. It's good. It's an early 2-0 advantage as Luminosity striking very quickly.
They have control of mid-map as well. Drone trying to get thrown forward here towards Saints, but he's going to get taken out before LG can make any type of push. But every time we've gone on board with EG, or we've seen from the LG point of view, they're just fighting so far out of their own base. I mean, they're forced to rotate back. They can't get towards the mid-map. Not really a lot of offense here from EG early.
And just think about this, if the series does end here, you've got a winner's bracket final of Luminosity and Epsilon. They were in the same group in stage 1. They start in the same group here this weekend. They've had back and forth battles, which I believe I've actually gone Epsilon's way. I want to say 2-1 overall, at least in the past couple of weeks. So this is going to be a crazy winner's bracket final, but Luminosity still does have to close it out. EG may be capable of taking it here, but in the opening 2 minutes, certainly not looking that way as Luminosity already ahead 4 points, and Octane's already calling in Trinity Rockets.
He's only able to get 1. Now he's going to hover the missile. He's going to be able to get Nagafen towards the middle of the map. So right there, EG, they pick up some kills, but because that Trinity rocket's in the sky, they can't push out towards the middle of the map. So all that good work goes for naught. They're not able to get control. You see the first kill here. This team fight going towards Octane, the second one towards Classic, and now quickly we're left with Havoc, the only one alive, just trying to fire down shots. Saints gets bored, kills Classic. It's a 1-point throw that goes up. It's going to be intercepted, so a big defensive play there from EG, where it looked like it was going to be clear points for Luminosity.
Yeah, you get the interception, which is huge, but you're still just trying to fight out of your side. Finally, EG seems to be out to mid-map, where all you've been doing is fighting out of that spawn. Can they do something with it? Parasite first kill, snaps to the second. 6 shots from him. Somebody's got to get the drone in behind, though. There's nobody back there to grab it. Parasite's killing everybody, but the rest of his team is done. That's 4 in a row, 9-9, but they're not going to get any points out of this because the rest of the team spawning out courtyard side, and finally he falls. That's got to be a frustrating moment. At least him going big kind of maintains mid-map control for his team, but you'd like to get points when someone goes on a tear like that.
Yeah, when you have a guy that goes on a 4 streak on the enemy side of the map, you love to turn that into points. But like you're saying, everybody falls for EG. Now they're starting to heat up a little bit. You see 2 kills in the feed. But there it is. I mean, Slack just comes over the top, picks up a 2-piece. It's like every time something goes right for EG, there's somebody there on the side of Luminosity to just pick up 2 big kills.
Well, I wish we had like a way to track that stat, kind of. I think it's one of the biggest in Uplink. When you're that last guy alive, right? 3 of your guys get cut down, maybe you're around mid-map. If you're able to pick up 2 kills before you drop, that is almost always the difference between there being points put on the board or not.
It's like, what's your KD with like only 1 other player alive on the team? Just yourself. Like, just figure out who goes big in those situations. We have Nagafen here going in, going to get a 1-point score for EG. But I agree with you, in Uplink, that's where we see players go huge the most. I mean, last night in LG versus OG, I mean, how many times do you see Scump? He pulls out these 2 pieces when Luminosity's going on a run.
Those crucial kills are the biggest. Nameless now trying to get it done. Can we go to Octane's POV?
Yeah.
As soon as he spawns.
There's one number on the right that doesn't make sense.
Look at all the kills. The highest in the lobby, 11, other than Octane, who has 21 kills.
Double that person's amount of kills.
I just got to see what this guy's doing right. I think the answer is he's shooting straighter than the opposition. But with 20 seconds left, we'll see if he can add some to a revert. It's a crazy first half.
And he's got 4 of their 5 points. Octane just...
If you're playing fantasy right now.
Yeah, you would want him on your team. I mean, just picking up where he left off at the playoffs. I mean, at the playoffs, he was just on another level. You see Classic here going in, maybe a 1-point throw here at the end. An interception set up there from Nameless. It's going to be wide left. So the score going into halftime will be 5-1 in favor of Luminosity.
I mean, at least if you're EG, you've kept it close enough that you can get a swing here. If you keep it within 4, what does it usually come down to? Better payload use at the end of the game. If you can get a good overdrive in, a nice camo play, a lot of times that can be the difference. They just can't have a start to the second half like the first half began, where you let Luminosity get several points on the board, open things up. as soon as this grows, but you still have it at least in a 2-possession game. You got to keep it at that.
Yes, I mean, you do have overdrive here on Octane. I know on the other side of the coin, Nagaven getting very close towards his payload ability, but see, great start here for EG. This should be a 2-point play.
And that's what happens when he misses, right? You see some wild shot from Octane, which is rare, opens everything up for EG. They don't get a toss off. The defense holds. You have got to get points there. You get a clean wipe in mid-map and everything falls apart. That's not good defense. That is awful offensive execution from EG.
I don't know who had the drone there for a second by Evil Geniuses, but they're set up over by the hay bale, and they just took way too much time. They were like thinking about lining up this shot or maybe trying to force it in for 2. You don't know what the comms are like, but it just took way too long to make a decision there, and it ends up biting them because they don't get points. And now look at this, Luminosity pushing forward towards their base.
I feel like it's one of those situations where maybe somebody's yelling, you know, wait, I have the kill, go for the dunk, and somebody's probably yelling, go for 1, and the person with the drone just kind of gets stuck in an awkward spot. But there's a deep shot. First points on the board in the second half. Once again, going to be LG, and Octane picking up right where he left off, 28-12 on a 3 streak, working towards those Trinity Rockets again, and he is beaming right now. Everybody dropping. And this is terrifying. When you have somebody like Octane right outside your base, you're worrying about him off spawn over and over again as he keeps on crushing the streak, now up to 6. 31-12, 7th in front. Keep on spawning blue, buddy, because I'm here. Now they come in the other side.
You would have killed that guy. I would have just been like Brian Stadiums or just in the lobby. It's like you ever see like one of those N1 basketball games where somebody just does something so crazy, like everybody just storms the court. Like, oh, that would have been that type of moment. But here comes EG. They have an opportunity to score. They're in a very good spot right now, and this should be a 2-point play. And no, you kind of look back. I mean, they were able to get 2 points or at least 1 on the board earlier. They stopped that push coming in from the side of Luminosity. You're looking at a very close game right now.
But that dunk's massive. I mean,
yes.
You just have Octane shred through your entire team, and kind of the ability to just answer back in the next 30 seconds with a dunk. Those are huge plays out of EG, and you keep it a 2-possession game. There's still a lot of time on the clock, but you have overdrive here. They're pushing forward. Octane shooting through everyone, including his teammates. A deep one away from Classic, and he bangs it. That's not an easy shot.
I did not think that was going in. That is from a very far distance, but Classic able to knock it down with another point on the board there for Luminosity. As Octane uses his streak, takes out Classic with it. Not the ideal use. You do have Nagafen and Co. They pick up some kills in the middle of the map. Now they can start moving the drone forward.
I'll tell you what, do whatever you want with your streaks when your gun's doing what it is right now. He's still up to 33, but it's Havoc and company's time to attack. Can they trade these 1s for 2s? You know, they haven't allowed Luminosity at least get too many dunks on through. They've held them to a lot of 1-point tosses, but can you get dunks in on your side? The problem right now, Nagafen the only one up. Luminosity screaming forward, trying to make a play. Octane pops the overdrive. This should be a dunk. There it is, double digits for Luminosity. Minute 45 left, and LG finally starting to kind of pull away.
Yeah, and that's a 4 dead for EG. It's going to be Octane here, posted up in the back, has teammate support coming off the spawn. A lot of shots going down. I believe you heard active camo there coming in from Classic. He gets a 2-point play, still working inside the base of Evil Geniuses. Now he's on a 5 streak, earns himself the Trinity Rockets as well. Only a minute and 20 to go. It is not looking good for EG.
And as much as, you know, Octane carried the load, the scoring category early in the game, Classic, you know, he's leading overall for his team with points per game. He's tacked on 5, really done the objective load on the second half here. 1 behind the camo play and a couple sick 1-point tosses. Now he's mid-map, just slowing down any kind of counterattack you might see out of this EG squad. This one's done, man. You're not popping off 9 in 50 seconds.
I know we ran a video the other day where a lot of the players were talking about, you know, who's the best player in the game right now. Octane's making a pretty damn good case for it. Yeah. The way he's played the last 2 events, he's just been lights out.
I mean, statistically, I know at Stage 1 playoffs, Zero was a bit better, but
Zero is a monster.
If you're watching the gameplay, there's not a whole lot separating these two compared to what they're able to actually do on the map. And Octane just seems to be picking up right where he left off. That's why I said we were talking about Octane versus Zero. I didn't think that Zero would be able to do what he did again, just because it was so insane. The numbers he did are like top 5 all time.
Yeah, it was otherworldly.
But Octane, I mean, this is stuff that he can just produce every event, I think. He's that good. He's 38 in 21. He's got 10 more kills than the second highest in the lobby. And just like that, 3-0. Bye-bye, EG. Luminosity tear through him.
Luminosity will move on to play Epsilon in your winner bracket finals, but EG is not done yet, Maeve. You know, they're a very tough match here against LG. They don't really match up well with them. I think this is an EG team that can make a run definitely in the loser bracket.
Well, that's what they, that was their bread and butter throughout the course of the year, right?
Yeah.
All those top 8s they would get, they were coming out of pool play, having to make deep runs. I think they were only in coming out of the open bracket. I think they were only in pool play for one of those major events. This is a team that definitely can make those deep runs. I think they thrive on kind of match after match. They start heating up and they start cruising through. We'll see if they can do it. But that was scary because this is a winner's bracket semi. You know, the last one at least, the game's kind of back and forth with Epsilon and Splice. Luminosity just beat the hell out of EG.
Yeah, it was what, 250 to
78?
80, I think. And then you got I think it was like a 6-3, I believe. And then that game is not pretty at all.
Luminosity picking up right where they left off at the Stage 1 playoffs. 4 of the best players in the game getting it done, looking spectacular throughout the course of this. Evil Geniuses did not stand a chance. The question, who will slow down this Luminosity team? Optic Gaming couldn't do it. Who's gonna get it done? What a win. We'll see you after this quick break.